Before we get started, if you are interested in CBD or finding a new CBD supplier, I've partnered with Hopewell Farms and you can get 10% off this very high quality CBD. I take it every single day. It helps with meditation. It helps with my health in general, and we have 10% off with code Lily10 in the description. Also announcing the Ultimate DNA Activation Kit, which is a kit that I've included everything that I did to help activate my DNA, activate new psychic gifts and abilities, with 9 channeled sessions from the Pleiadians, Lyrans, Sirians, Inner Earth, and other beings to help you activate your DNA, raise your frequency and consciousness, align with your highest purpose and highest potential. I also have cord cutting and ancestral healing workshops, how to connect with your star family, a shorter DNA activation, and other resources available with the link in the description. Also, join me and Viviane along with Brad Olson, Laura Eisenhower, Alex Collier, and other great speakers at the Mount Shasta conference this July. I'll leave the website in the video description, and you can put Lily, all lowercase, for discount on conference tickets. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Starseed Chats. My name is Lily, and today I have special guest Viviane here with me. Let me go ahead and read a little bit about Viviane. So Viviane is an Arcturian ambassador, intergalactic teacher, published author, international speaker, and creator of the Arcturian Healing Arts Program in Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing. Viviane is an interstellar being who ascended thousands of years ago. Her soul avatar essence has returned in a projected hybrid human form as an emissary for the reascension timeline. Renowned for her advanced healing services, Viviane has conducted over 23,000 private sessions worldwide. Wow, that's a big flex in the past 12 years. As an oracle of Arcturus, her mission consists of traveling from star system to star system and assisting civilizations on the verge of their evolutionary ascension process. Her intergalactic delegation is a member of the Federation of Light and collaborates with many star regency and interplanetary councils. I am super excited to have you on, Viviane. Thank you so much for coming on, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Lily, for having me. Such a joy to be here.
Yeah, I'm super excited. So you came on my radar last summer. I attended the Mount Shasta conference with Rob Potter, and you really, you just were striking to me. I just really resonated with you. And what I also really like about you, and similar with me, you are very much about the activation portions of everything. I know you do a lot of meditations, and that's kind of like, that's my specialty as well. So yeah, so I'm super excited to talk with you, and we will both be speaking at the Mount Shasta conference, Rob Potter's, July this summer. So super excited about that, to meet you in person.
It will be wonderful to meet you in person, especially sharing both our wisdom, our light, our frequencies for the audience at the summer conference. I think it's around July 18th to the 21st, 22nd.
Yep, those are the exact dates. I got it on a Post-it note right here. Yeah, and that was my first time in Mount Shasta, and I was amazed by the level of activity just as soon as I got there, just bombarded with fairies, Saint Germain, inner earth beings, angels. The veil's just very, very thin there. Got to see some ships as well. So Mount Shasta is an incredible place just to go visit in general, but especially whenever you get a group of like-minded, starseeds together. So it's going to be a great time.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to come back again.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, so for anybody who doesn't really know, I guess I already, said a bit of your bio, but do you want to tell us? I actually wanted to kind of dig in to a little bit more of your personal awakening journey and how you got connected with your Arcturian Star Family. Like, what did that look like for you? I'm all about making contact, teaching people how to make contact and connect with their star family, discover their star origins, all of that. So I'm really fascinated about the process. So how did you meet? Or were you just born and you already knew you were an Arcturian and you already knew your Arcturian star family? Or what did that look like?
It's a great question, and I and us too. We all about contact because making contact is shifting. It has a different connotation, different meaning. So in my case, is less. Yes, I arrive knowing that I am an Arcturian being. I have very clear memories of my Arcturian avatar self. I've always felt that I was this visitor that was put in this body, like a device that allowed me to experiment the biological human 3D reality, the limitation of time and space in this 3D reality, what it feels like to be seemingly a linear being in the time construct, emotional feelings, relating to another's. So it's always been a sense of clear understanding and knowingness who I am. Even as a child, Eddie, I would say, even as young as, 4 years old, I've always had the consciousness of this being that I am. So the way I think, the way I feel, the way I communicate, the way I elaborate thought process or my perspective is very reflective of who I am. So for me, it was more the other way around. Instead of like many starseed, then they come in the body, they were born, they identified through first their human experience and identity, and then they're rediscovering that their soul aspect or their soul emanation represent a very specific intergalactic group consciousness. In my case, it's the reverse. Is I understand that I am an intergalactic being experiencing this human form that allows me to navigate on this earth and being able to interact, experiment, shift, support from the inside right on the planet. So this is why in my case the experience is very much unique in that way.
Wow. So I was originally saying that almost as kind of a joke, but you really did. You came out kind of already knowing, huh? That's amazing. Did that make you feel very alienated, or did it make it more difficult for you growing up?
That's another really good point. So I really feel like an alien. When I use the word alien, I say with love. I know that I'm in the star beings. I've always be very open in a way that is more jokingly growing up, even as a teenager. Oh yeah, I'm an extraterrestrial being on this planet. I come among you with peace. If you go, oh, you're funny. But it's really is. I was serious. It's just being planting that seed of consciousness that making contact has shifted the meaning over the years. So I've always felt very like a stranger walking among a multitude of groups, but I also understood and recognized that when I look at human beings, I know that I'm looking at a diversity of different, star group interacting as humans. They're more embracing the human template because they came into this human form, and but I always recognizing the different stages of consciousness, energy, whether it's belief systems, limitation, the way people think, the projection through their reality. And I always known that even in school, when I was looking at what was happening around me, I was looking at a diversity of realities coexisting in one place. Because we know there's multi layers of reality. It's not just one big reality. So your reality is different from mine. However, we agree to point of junction and then we can interact with each other. So I've always felt very, in that sense, isolated because the
Mhm.
way I think, or even the way my vibration, or the way I radiate or exhume energies, it's always been difficult for people up to a certain point on the planet, but it's
Mhm.
been very difficult for people just to be around me. And growing up, having friends, it was a really rare gift because they couldn't understand what was so different about you. You look like us, but you're not completely acting or feeling like us, and so we don't know if we can love you, hate you, reject you. We don't know what to do. So if you look in terms of 80s, 90s, that was a very predominant feeling where sci-fi movies were coming out more, and it was more of that nature. But talking about star seeds, hybrids, opening the consciousness was not something that was very open and accepted at the time. It was more still taboo. So I have to wait till humanity and the collective consciousness on the planet reach another level of awakening and acceptance to, star seeds, origination, opening, disclosure, and getting more in tune with that part of yourself. Then I can go, okay, now I'm going to go beyond the curtain, like, okay, now we can have a different dialogue with each other. So
Yeah.
I knew that I have to be patient with the process. At the
Mhm.
same time, sometimes it was emotionally hurtful. I'm going like, oh, I would like to share more about who I am. And the team says, we know, they're not ready just yet.
Mhm.
It's part of the learning, it's part of the compassion, it's part of the assessing of
Mhm.
where humanity consciously is.
Mhm.
Talk to the planet instead. So I was talking more to Gaia instead. I was talking more to the other sentient life forms who would recognize me for who I am, but I have to wait till human beings stabilize in their consciousness to be coming more forward in terms of, well, good news, you have an Arcturian being on the planet with you, and we're here to supporting you, reaching
Mhm.
out to your ascension to return to that point of where you are. So now today, it's everybody wants to know it's so accepted, and the star seeds are much more active, they're more awakened, more present to their galactic heritage, and the DNA shifting, everything is moving in that direction. And it felt very refreshing for me. I'm like, now we can have a true dialogue with each other.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, I would love to know your perspective on who the Arcturians are, and if you can give us just kind of like a little bit of just, I guess, history or their role, like your star family's kind of role in the Arcturian role with humanity right now.
Yes, so the Arcturians are known as one of the most advanced and enlightened intergalactic civilization interacting with this solar system, the Earth, and many, many, many other planets and systems. We are we are millions of years old. We are very advanced in terms of our mental faculties. We have organic crystalline technology that we utilize. We are known to be prophetic in terms of masters of light, how we can also utilize the next level of light frequencies, tone vibrations. We
Mhm.
vibrate naturally at a very high level, so our frequencies are really, really high to the point that physically our body will may appear to you more like ethereal, almost like more luminous, even though we do have a physical form, but not in the same sense as you perceive it here. So we have attuned ourselves to we constantly maintain ourselves in a constant state of oneness, vibrational resonance with each other, with Prime Creator. So we have learned how to maintain ourselves in that divine oneness, if you want to call it this way, or that divine union and unity consciousness. Octurnes are very well known for, again, our mental faculties. We
Mhm.
can navigate through the multiverse by assisted organic technology as much as our thought projection, the faculties of our thought projection, and the holographic telepathic abilities that we have are really advanced. So as a civilization, we already reached a level of ascension. We've already reached the level of enlightenment. So we no longer need to repeat aspect of our history. We no longer need to go through, the lower density experiences or different biological experience like humans go through to understand the changes in density and conscious awakening. We've already reached that level for a long, long time, for thousands of years.
Mhm.
So think of us as ambassadors. We are the ones who will be called upon by a Star Regency Council or the Federation of Light or a certain hierarchy, and we're going to be deployed at different point in the multiverse to assist, either to resolve conflict or to reassess what is shifting in that particular quadrant, or to bring direct assistance to a civilization who are on the verge of a huge evolutionary shift of going to provide assistance without interference, though. We never interfere in
Mhm.
the evolution of a soul group or a system or a planet, but we're going to bring direct assistance to our knowledge, wisdom, teaching, or we can help by stabilizing the frequencies to support that process. So
Mhm.
we're very much in demand, so to speak, because we're oftentimes you're going to find us with collaborating with many other groups, whether it's the Lyrans, the Galactic Cetacean groups, whether it's the Galactic Elven. We work with the advanced level of the Andromedan, the Builders of Time, the architect of timelines, and I mean we work with so many groups. So this is why the energy and the frequencies of the Arcturians are more predominant right now, because we are moving into the new future aspect of the timeline of the Earth, and we
Mhm.
see that overall there's a greater stabilization on the planet and in the timeline. So we are now coming back into the new light codes, the new frequencies, so we can help to bring the next catalyst of movement and shift in consciousness. As we talk, one of my cat is like exploring my field. So I have a beautiful Lyran beings in four-legged form, swirling around me right now, so I can feel the presence of the Lyrans very distinctively.
That's super funny. So I'm a liar and I've got a pretty big combination, but my cat is Arcturian.
Oh, really? An Arcturian. Okay.
Yeah, he's Syrian, but he also has some Arcturian. And it's funny because a couple days, like I had picked up on, I knew he was Syrian, and Lyran, but then I did a session with somebody, Sylvie. Do you know Sylvie, the cat whisperer?
Mhm.
She
Yes,
has
yes.
Yeah, I had a session with her and she picked up on Arcturian too. And then a couple days later, I looked over at him, at my cat, and I saw him with his Arcturian face, his Arcturian eyes over, almost like it was like so superimposed over his face. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, oh, okay. So he revealed his Arcturian form to me for a second. Um, but I'm sure like they have such big, big souls and such big energy. Just a tiny, tiny little bit is probably, put in our cats. I
Well,
guess.
it can be also that this being that you call your cat
Mhm.
has a deeper soul ancestry or galactic origin through Lyran and Syrians. And it can be that through an agreement that the Arcturian aspect is utilizing the body as a conduit to communicate to you.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, your cat may be still more predominant Lyran and Syrians,
Yeah.
but as a conduit, the frequency will come. So, that soul emanation or an aspect of the light body consciousness of this Arcturian being reveal itself to you through this agreement to your being that you call your cat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I'm getting in terms of
Hmm.
decoding of what it means.
Yeah. And around this time, I also found that I do have some Arcturian incarnations too. Not as many, not nearly as many as some of the other origins I have, but I do have a little bit. So I think he's also here to help kind of activate that or help me to, remember that. Um, Yeah, that's incredible. So great introduction to the Arcturians. Yeah, whenever I see the Arcturians, I absolutely love working with them. They're some of the most powerful healers. I feel like I love doing activations with them whenever they assist in meditations. I also find them to be really, really good at removing interference, like
Mm.
negative stuff, even like implants and etherical implants, going back into, I like doing activations with them where we kind of like go through individuals timelines and help like clear up like past lives and things like that. Does anything come up for you whenever I mention that, or do you have anything to add on that?
Well, it's another good observation. So, the presence and the frequencies of the Arcturians will naturally facilitate the removal, whether it's to an implant or a blockages or a distortion in the field, whether it's to the body template and the soul matrix level. So we are prophylactic in terms of being able to access multitude timeline all at once and being able to see simultaneously what is the most probable outcome of each of those timelines so we can reassess what is the best course of action. And of course, our ship, our fleet, we are well known for our technology. So when there's negative or malevolent presence, they fear us. And yes, we can be also really powerful guardians and we can clear the space really quickly. But at the same time, we always invite at the soul level to assign a master teacher so that we can maybe re-elevate or coach those souls or that soul group so they can make other choices. We help a lot of souls to evolve the next octaves of their evolution. We're really supporting a lot of souls who leave the earth plane and the human physical template to help them review what they have experienced and see what is the best next move for that soul, whether it's the next physical incarnation, whether it's a star being, or simply moving into the next plane of existence as pure consciousness. So we also very master in the soul coaching and soul healing. So
Mhm.
this is why we work pretty much in the holographic field, and we have so much ability to really support. This is why so many intergalactic groups come to us to heal, to help them, whether it's also resolving maybe an historical loop they're experiencing in their genetics, whether it's on our planet, whether it's a overlapping of timeline that we can support. We work in partnership with the Council of Time, the Guardians of Time, to help in that sense, the Karmic Board for the Akashic Records. So there's so many ways and avenues that we utilize, and
Mhm.
in time we'll bring new form of knowledge to help human beings to return into that place of enlightenment. It is really time for human beings to take their place consciously as guardians, stewards on this planet, taking more responsibility for themselves, for their co creation, to be able to accelerate the journey. They don't need to suffer anymore. There's no need to feel that you are at the mercy of greater forces that seems to be more powerful than you. It's just an illusion. So
Mhm.
it's really time to break the mold, so to speak, and set yourself free and reclaim yourself as a sovereign civilization again, so you can take your rightful place back in the Federation, and you can also connect with other part of human races who have evolved elsewhere in the multiverse and says, hey, your cousins are reconnecting with you, and it's time to remember profoundly who you really are besides this identity and this vessel that you take on. It's just
Mhm.
an experience that you're having, really.
Right. Yeah. So going back to duality for a second, um, the Arcturians. So, do you know of any sort of kind of relationship, or do you know what the relationship has been with the with reptilian beings? And this doesn't necessarily have to be negative. This could be positive reptilians also. Do you know anything about that, or does anything come to mind? Kind of like their history with them, or if there's been any kind of like interactions or evolving. Um, do you know what I'm saying?
So are you referring to see if the Arcturian as a civilization know of the reptilian civilization? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, are there any connections to any reptilian type races? Not it could be benevolent also between the Arcturians. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, we know a lot about them. It's just
Mhm.
to clarify, it's not that we have a connection. You
Okay.
have to think about we're millions of years old. So chances are we have encountered a lot of different consciousness group,
Mhm,
whether it's the reptilians, the draconians, whether it's those who exist well beyond your reach in this galaxy.
mhm,
So we've been around for a long, long time. But to
mhm,
refer to the reptilians as you know them here, based on the Earth historical archives and the interaction that human race have had with them, we know a multitude of aspects of the reptilian race.
mhm,
And whenever there's a presence of an Arcturian, the reptilians already know. They are immediately alerted. They are really aware of us as we are very well aware of them.
mhm,
So to bring perspective, we have known them on both spectrum, very negative, malevolent, and also very positive and more advanced. So for example, the ancient ones or their elders are very involved or getting more involved with specific channels or asking for assistance to clear the karmic repercussion that the malevolent aspect of their civilization has created for thousands of years. So we are in communication with our elders. I have seen some of the elders in people's field when they want to be heard, or that person has agreed at a soul level to become a channel for those elders. And they're very, very ancient. So
Mhm.
the reptilian civilization overall, they
Mhm.
are super ancient, more ancient than the Earth human race. They've been
Mhm.
around for a long time, but unfortunately, and I do see a but here to cancel that out, it's because a fragment or an aspect of that civilization has decided to claim many other home worlds. The Earth is not the only one that they done that. So we've been monitoring alongside with our partners and
Mhm.
other groups the evolution of these renegades groups. And they're not the only one. And we know there's renegade groups from the Pleiades, from Draco,
Mhm.
from the Zeta Reticuli. There are renegade groups from a multitude of places. But when it comes to reptilians, oh, yes. Those on the planet here, they've been interacting with me ever since I returned to the planet. They call me the Arcturian Princess. Or what are you doing here, Arcturian Princess? Uh, Sometimes they ask me to stop my intervention and no longer want me to help the earth, or they want me to tone down how I help human beings. And I said, I'm here for that. This is my purpose,
Right.
and we invite them all the time. We said, you know what? There's ways we can bring you in front of the divine courts. We can help you to, would you like to ascend? Would you like to return to your enlightened self? We can
Mhm.
help you to coach. We have been reaching out, and what is the expression you use here? We have been offering many olive branches.
Mhm.
Okay. And when the answer is opposite an olive branch, then we respond accordingly.
Mhm.
Um, but they fear us because they know what we're capable of.
Mhm.
And the loving, positive reptilians, we gladly work with them. We have collaboration as long as no violation of treaty
Mhm.
or agreements. We are here to support. But Nocturnes, we are very wise, very ancient. We have a lot of knowledge, lots of experiences. We are very advanced being. So we're not being duped or
Mhm.
manipulated. We can see when it's true and when it's not. And if it's not, well, we take the proper action. And that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. Do you feel like maybe a good portion of the malevolent oriented ones will be choosing to kind of cycle up into the positive, or do you think maybe this will be kind of splitting off to where there will be two different trajectories? Does that make sense? Where they will continue, if well, I guess it's their free choice. But do you see anything on that? Do you think a lot of them are deciding to go on the up, or are they want to continue down their path of destruction, we'll say?
Right. Well, it's a fabulous question, Lily, because like any other soul group, whether it's human beings, humans who have chosen more the dark energies or make agreements with malevolent forces or energies for their own benefit, they too will be given opportunity to continue into the light, redeem themselves, expand, or they will be given opportunity, just like those malevolent groups, to be simply released from this the timeline of the reascension and be redirected into a timeline that is more appropriate for them so they can learn the karmic lesson. And eventually, they can be allowed to integrate and reach more light in a
Mhm,
sense. I asked this very question that you asked me to the Solar Council, because I work a lot with the solar energy and the great central sun. Of course,
mhm,
as a nocturne, we like the light, so the more light, the better it is for us. So I asked the Solar Council, and I had this beautiful 100 feet tall being, pure solar energy, solar presence came to me. And downloaded to my third eye, to the what I call my holographic field, they said, regardless to us, it is still considered as evolution.
Mm.
So what it means ultimately is that even the malevolent one causing dark karma,
Mhm.
heavy energies, they will be given an opportunity to
Mhm.
evolve into a similar situation or a similar paradigm until they evolve, but it's still considered as an evolution. No souls are really left behind, so to speak, in the greater scheme of the divine cosmic plan. So there's always an opportunity. And on a personal level, multitude times, on a multitude of occasions, have I reached out to the renegade groups on the planet and reach out to says, look, we are prepared to create a new treaty with you and helping you. Would you like to evolve? Would you like to shift? Would you like to heal the fragmentation? And we're going to provide assistance. So
Mhm.
we have reached out to that. And in fact, last year, when we were in Egypt, a group of draconians came to me, mixed with reptilians, and I have a dialogue with them. A dialogue as talking like we are right now, but more in terms of as an intergalactic being reaching out to another and
Mhm.
make them an offer in a sense that we said, don't you have enough? Come back to the light. Remember that you too can be
Right.
part of the divine cosmic design. We're going to teach you, we're going to show you, we're going to bring assistance. And I would say that the response I got in this very moment was a pause. They were listening. And that was huge because oftentimes they dismiss us right away with either insult or they're threatening me or they're going to do opposite of what we are offering. But in that particular group where we were on the Nile, we were traveling on the Nile, and this group came to me in my field and they paused. There was a silence. You can tell there was a deep reflection. So whatever the answer is, I'm sure, the higher hierarchy of the light has already taken care of that. But there was a reflective moment when we offered that to this particular group. And and when I talk to them, they see me as an Arcturian. They don't see me as a human. They know who I am. They're very, very clear of who I am.
Mhm. Wow, very interesting. Um, and actually, I wanted to ask you about your trip to Egypt. I watched a little bit of it, an interview that you did with Sherry. So thank you for sharing all of that about your interactions with them. That completely makes sense.
Good.
Um, so yeah, how was your trip to Egypt? Any memorable moments?
Well, let's start there with memorable moments. Yes. Um, the Sphinx was a momentum moment for me personally, for the planet, and for the galactic archives, and what is coming into the timeline this year and over the next 3 years or so. So the Sphinx was, I would say, momentum in terms of connection. Another very memorable moment was at the Temple of Luxor,
Mm.
when I can feel Luxor being one of the oldest temple known as the Southern Gateway. I immediately had very ancient intergalactic memories of at the ancient early stages of Egypt, coming back and connecting with other delegations in terms of the directions, what's coming through for humanity, the earth, the potential of the new timeline at a time. So Luxor was very powerful for me. Um, also the Saqqara site with the pyramid of Saqqara. Saqqara is a very powerful site.
Mhm.
Personally, for me, the pyramid of Saqqara was more powerful than Giza for me.
Mhm.
There's something ancient, something encoded, something there was a soul recognition there, very palpable.
Mhm.
And lastly, the other point that I can remember was the Temple of the Hathor, because when we enter the Hathor temple, I saw the interdimensional galactic group known as the Hathors,
Mhm.
And what they told me, they came to me right away and they said, we left a dimensional portal open in the temple with hopes that one day the human consciousness will be high enough so they can recognize and travel back so they can reconnect with us. And that was also very powerful for me at that time.
Wow,
Um, yes.
that's
Uh,
amazing. Have you had any past lifetimes in Egypt?
um, I have very few physical incarnation on the planet.
Okay.
Egypt for me was more a remembrance as an intergalactic being coming to support and
Mhm.
start to bring the infrastructure. It was more of a collaborative efforts. In
Yeah.
fact, another very powerful moment I had, and I forgot which temple it was. At some point, I exit the temple and I look at the wall and I could have an aspect of my galactic archive memories when I could read the encoding of what it was on the wall, and he was talking about the meeting of many intergalactic groups in like light versus the dark light polarity. And at that point, we were deciding of the fate of humanity. And one group wanted to enslave humanity, take advantage of them as their workers, utilizing their light and all of it. And the other was like, oh, absolutely not. It's out of the question. We're
Mhm.
here to educate them. We're here to help them rekindle with their galactic heritage and their DNA. We're here to help them evolve beyond what has been done. And that was almost like an argument, if you want to call it this way, a
Mhm.
disagreement between faction who want to utilize human race as resources and the other ones who want to elevate the human race as
Mhm.
equal. And it was right there on the wall. And in fact, um, one of the group members, who's a dear friend of mine, was recording on video on her phone the remembrance because it was so potent. I started to speak out loud and say, "Well, this is what it means. Look at the symbol," and you can tell it was right there on the wall, and all this memory was coming back to me in my consciousness. So Egypt for me, it's more of a transitional time on the planet where there was a greater, more direct intergalactic presence. And we were here for a time to help to initiate the process until unfortunately a lot of distortion happens again, manipulation, um, false power, misuse of
Mhm.
faculties, and then we have to retract off planet, and then we continue our work at a different level. But that's the extent of what Egypt represents for me. I have no real feel connection in terms
Mhm.
of living as an Egyptian or
Mhm.
one of the temple or a high priestess or a healer. It's more as an intergalactic being that I was
Mhm.
there for a short time.
Yeah. Interesting. I've had a memory come up where I was a 13-foot tall feline being in
Mm,
ancient Egypt. And I got the feel that I was like teaching, helping to teach humanity. And something happened, and I do feel like it, like a very, very strong sense that it was against negative aligned reptilians. Something happened, some sort of an attack or something, and I died. And that was kind of like the memory where I was like laying down on a table. So I always thought that was pretty interesting. Um,
That's that's
yeah.
interesting you say that because that's an aspect of what I received when we were at a temple. The, um, the sanctuary, not a temple, but the sanctuary of Sekhmet. And
Mm,
we know that Sekhmet is in honor of the Lyrans.
yeah.
And there was a female Lyrans that morphed back through the statue and started to communicate with me
Oh,
telepathically. And I saw an aspect of the Lyrans' history in regards to the Draconians, the Reptilians. And so when you said Lily, I can tell you were part of that. I can feel that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the first, like, big past life memories was being back on Lyra. That was one of the first I had, like, a spontaneous past life regression with the assistance of my star family. They were like, "You need to know about this. Download with all of the memories, all of the emotions." It was Christmas Eve. I was in, like, on a family trip. Like, "What's happening?" Uh, but yeah. Fun times. I call it Starseed Boot Camp, where, Star Family, you know, helping us out with healing all of this and showing
Oh,
us,
yeah.
activating, triggering these memories.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. Holiday or no holiday, this is your time, and here we come.
yeah, exactly. You said something interesting a moment ago about the Sphinx and something about a timeline that's happening over the next few years. Do you want to go into that more deeper? Did I say that right? You said something
Yes.
about the Sphinx.
Yes, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. So what happened in the Sphinx is that as a conduit, because my DNA generate a very specific frequency that matches the communication we transmit to all of you, whether it's verbally or vibrationally. So physically, my DNA is really built in a certain way that creates those frequencies, but also physically, my temple or my vessel is also engineered for me to hold and sustain large amount of light frequency and transmission all at once. So that day when we were at the Sphinx with our group, is the moment I sat down on the ground and my back touched the back or aspect of the Sphinx, I immediately start to get into a very specific realignment. And I brought forth 4 levels of group consciousness that came one after another. And
Mhm.
what I saw is when I was told look up, so I look up, I look at the face of the Sphinx. I saw these lion's eyes becoming really alive, and I was told the guardian has been reawakened. And they
Mhm.
said, now look down. So I looked down, and I went beyond the physical soil, and etherically I saw a very deep, like almost like the beginning, the opening of a temple, so it looks like, but deep holographically in the ground,
Mhm.
entering the archives, the secret archives that the Sphinx is guarding or is there as a landmark, if you want. And in time, part of your group, the Lyrans, with their original library of the Lyrans Library, will come and realign, so reactivating the knowledge that will become available, and that will also be reflected in the DNA template for humanity. But before that, there's a lot of distortion and overlays that needs to be released and transmuted. But that day, that's what I saw. And I saw to the new grid system opening, and in Egypt, to the Sphinx, there was a grid system opening, and I follow it etherically. I look into it, and we were directly into Australia, that connection there.
Hmm.
Okay, so that was really, really, really powerful. And I knew that what we were doing was momentum for what's coming in. So you have to think about that was 2023.
Mhm.
2023 has been a year of huge duality and polarization. That's because the 3D old paradigm and the potential of the 5D timeline already were overlapped with each other. So think of it as we were 1 year of under a constant solar eclipse that overlapped with the Earth, so it will have different ripple effect and symptoms.
Mhm.
So what we were doing, we were preparing the potential of the next phase of the timeline, as we call it. And once we enter 2024, according to your calendar year, what the Arcturian showed me is that we enter with what we call a triple gateway. This is how we quantify time. Now, we're not bound by that 3D physicality. We're existing beyond that. So we're looking at time very differently. So
Mhm.
we're looking at the next 3 years, if you want to call it this way. For us, it's a triple gateway of really huge acceleration. And they did tell me that we have finally entered the era that we've been preparing for thousands of years. So this is it. We're in it right now.
Wow. That's amazing. Uh, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I also wanted to ask a question popped up. Now, I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but just to see what you have to say about it. Since the Arcturians, you're saying they see ahead in these timelines. Do they have any doubts whatsoever about where we are headed? Or
Mm.
do you think it's a pretty done deal? But we don't want to get comfortable. We still want to be working our butts off.
I love the way you think, love your energy. So I will simply say If that was not a done deal, I would no longer be on the planet. Okay. So for them to come forward to me, and I have a large collective, and my Arcturian father, yes, that's right, my Arcturian father was behind me and said, we have collectively entered the era that you've been preparing for. There will be more challenges, yes.
Mhm.
2024 is where we are. Think of it as we have brought all of our skill set as very skilled gardeners, and we have prepared a terrain for the last 4 years. But now we're coming back to really stabilize the field, the soil for the next crop.
Mhm.
So this is where we are. There's going to be a distinct acceleration between, I would say, starting around April, past the summer solstice in this hemisphere of the planet, of course, moving into July all the way to the Lion's Gate in August. That's
Mhm.
going to be a really powerful peak.
Mhm.
Now, the fall equinox in this hemisphere, which is going to be the spring for the other part of the planet, September, October, November, we're going to move into another really big, pull your sleeve up, stay in your light, because we're going to need to go into another level of pulling the weeds out of the garden. And we're fully expecting that. But
Mhm.
when we prepare and we move to that little time loop, and we're starting to move into November, we're going to fully be engaged into the 2025 gateway.
Mhm.
2025 on, things are like manifesting at the speed of the thought, and it really is. So, are we sure about this? Yes, I'm still here. Is it pretty much a done deal? Oh, at this point, it really is. This is why the dark high polarity screaming so much and making so much noise and distractions.
Yeah.
Do we need you more than ever? We need you to stay in your light. We need you to really go inward. Call
Yeah.
upon your light, your gift. I am ready to embrace who I am. I am ready to memorize, not memorize, but I'm ready to remembering more and more the innate gift that I brought as a star seed, the frequency I brought with me from my original soul group consciousness. I recognize who I am. I no longer being intimidated
Mhm.
by social media or what's going on in the government and in the world and on TV and news, all of it. I am really anchoring and I choose to be a strong anchor of light. So we're going to need you more than ever. We're doing our parts, but we need you. And together, boots on the ground, we have so much more direct impact on the timeline for each other globally in the unity consciousness and for the planet than all the thousands of ships that can be surrounding the earth. We have more power because we're direct catalysts. So be a conscious conduit, a conscious positive accelerator. Choose benevolent action, benevolence words, feelings, co creation. Choose the timeline of ascension. Are you ready? Am I worthy? Can I do this? It's yes, all above. Okay.
Mhm.
It's yes, 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 and yes. So we need you more than ever. And yes, at this point, we're in it. We really are.
Beautiful. Yeah, something that was coming through while you were saying that was like this is where we're making like our last stand. Like this is like the big stand. Right? It's happening right
Thank
now.
you. Thank you. See, we understand each other. And that's what I love about your generation and my generation because we're bridged together. We really are.
Yes, I love it. Um, and there was something else I wanted to oh, I wanted to also comment. So you called 2025 the what did you call it? The portal year because 2025 was a year that I was getting been getting like this the last year or so that Star Fielding's been telling me that's gonna be huge shifts. Oh, you said manifestation's gonna be happening like much faster, and I think you called 2025 a portal. I just thought that was pretty interesting. That coincides with what I've been getting to.
Well, of course it does. And I love that you said that out loud for your audience because there's a lot of redundant message that you're receiving. Why?
Mhm.
Because the Lyrians, the Arcturians, advanced Pleiadians, the Syrian Council, the aquatic beings, the galactic elven groups, all of these enlightened, spiritually oriented groups, we're here for the same mission. We're here to bring back that aspect. We're here to uplift an entire planet back to her original state. Did you know that the entire solar system is already in fifth dimensional frequency? Their only bridge, the only last vestige between the third and the fourth dimension is here. So we're catching the wave. This is the time. The harmonic changes are happening. Your DNA is shifting. There's more remembrance of your intergalactic origins. It's potent worldwide. And it doesn't matter. It makes no difference. And I will say that again. It makes no difference what is the physical age of your physical form, whether you're 88, 50, 30, early 20s, or 5 years old. This is our time. And we're all coming together in a more unified way, recognizing and honoring each generational of star seeds and masters and beings of light who have returned through a multitude of times. And we call it the generational timeline. Whether you came back in the 40s, 50s, 80s, 70s, 2000, the ones who are coming back now, 21 and above, well, it doesn't matter anymore. It's all about coming back together. And that's going to be very important. So believe it, embrace it, embody it, and cultivate it. Cultivation.
Yeah. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you actually was, how would you suggest others? This is one of my favorite topics. Star Family taught me. I find like gifts and abilities so exciting. Like it's almost like a magic trick. It's crazy what we are capable
I
of.
love that.
It's crazy. So that was kind of my what my Star Family was starting to show me and reveal to me and teach me, and they had me like I called it again Starseed Boot Camp, where I was like training, each day and working to activate gifts and abilities. I wasn't born knowing that I was a starseed. I always felt different. I've always been intuitive, but I didn't see like ghosts or I wasn't like super psychic or anything like that. These skills I just developed whenever I started connecting with my star family. They were like activated and remembered, and with activating my DNA too. But so that means that even if for anybody who's watching right now, even if they don't think they have psychic gifts or if they don't know what their gifts and abilities are, that they can activate them right here and right now. It's incredible. So what would you suggest for people? How would you suggest others step into their gifts? Kind of some practical steps that may be helpful for them.
Absolutely. And we love that too. So let's go in practical way. Straight up. Get out of your 3D mind. Your mind is going to say, when I'm trying to communicate or I'm trying to connect and nothing happens, you're stuck in a mental loop.
Yeah, I hear that all the time. I hear it all the time.
It's the basic. We want practical, to the point, to really help you to elevate, and it would say even accelerate the access of your natural gift. Think about it. You were born with the encoding of those gifts within you. The pathway is already encoded. It's in you. Whether it's in your DNA, whether it's your ability, and I will say the proof is in the pudding. If you look at your life path, all the lessons on the hardship, the joy, the events, the situation, everything in your life path is showing you the pathway that is encoded in you. So when you step out of heavily relying on the duality of your 3D mental mind, you're stepping out more and more vibrationally outside of the polarized field of the 3D matrix. And after time, the 3D mind, it's been pushed to protect coping mechanism, protect your heart if you've been hurt, things happen in your childhood or with an ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, event situation. What happened is your mind will say, it's okay, I'll take it over, I'll protect you. So your subconscious says, I'm going to create a bunch of sequence and program I'm going to send to your conscious mind, and that's going to be your way to navigate through life. It sounds to be very redundant, but imagine the potential. Imagine for a moment when you're allowing your lower mind to evolve and expand to the next level. What do you think will happen? First, you're reopening what we call your internal channel of communications. You're starting to stabilize your frequency. You become a little bit higher in terms of your vibration. If you're able to maintain this little higher vibrational state, you start to harmonize your chakra system as conduit, your internal clairs or psychic clairs like clairaudience, clairknowingness, clairvoyance, and it's natural. It's all encoded in you. It's all part of the design. You're starting to get more in tune with it. And then as your higher mind start to open the field to higher intelligence, you're stepping into more spiritual maturity, understanding these gifts, accepting those gifts. You become more receptive. So that's same thing with communicating with your guides, with your higher self. It's not just asking, you're sending signal like radio tower. You have to be also receptive to the transmission that is given to you.
Yeah.
So
In
again,
whatever way it will come too, because it can come in many different ways. You don't want to shut out, sorry to
exactly. No, but that's a good observation because the thing about that is your mind will get in the way and says, well, I've done that. I try, I meditate or I listen. But if you try too hard, you're getting your mind in the way. There's filters and there's barriers. And next thing you know, you think that your higher self never talked to you, which is the most natural thing in the world to net for your higher self, which is you communicating with that part of you that is in human form. Think about it for a moment. It is the most natural thing in the world. What is blocking it is expectation, mental projection, fear, filters, and program. That's what it is. It really is removing all these filters and allow yourself to be genuine, authentic. If you're a feeler, utilize your channel to feel. If there's a knowingness, how do I know what I know that is true? I'm not making that up. If you ask the question because you already retracted back into your mind. Instead is I acknowledge what I know right now. Intuitively, I know. And I'm going to hold that energy, trust it, and cultivate that and see what the next level will be. So there's always some clairs or psychic channel that will be more natural to you. Utilize them first. Then you can train the others. And I can tell you that the clairvoyance or third eye opening is the most challenging one because when you start to see, it changes your reality, your paradigm. There's a difference between communicating astrally or holographically or energetically with your star group versus to see them in front of you. You have to be prepared for that.
That's basically that's my main one. That's what happened to me very rapidly.
Exactly.
It's pretty crazy.
Well, the thing is that I remember the first time when I consciously, physically saw a female Lyran appear in front of me. And even though I'm a galactic being, I had to readjust consciously my vibration. I have to reattune myself to be able to be in her presence. This is how powerful they are. Or when the Syrians come and they physically touch my head, I have a sensory response. So I have to readjust myself and I tell my Arcturian father, who's touching my head right now? It's a Syrian. It's your group. It's your friends. Okay, now I can feel you. Okay, good.
Yeah.
But they will do that. So again, physical sensory, understanding with the consciousness, the intelligence of who I'm looking at, it really is practicing. And you have to believe in yourself. You have to trust yourself. I mean, it sounds like redundant, same old story, but it's more than that. It's the basic of the foundation that you're building, very much so.
Right. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't get the basics down.
Build your foundation. You're going to move up.
Yeah. Yeah, ask, believe, receive. So if you're having any issues with something, the universe is always listening. In Star Family, they can hear you. Even if you can't receive because maybe your vibration isn't high enough or you're blocking yourself in some way, they can hear you even if you can't perceive their response. So ask for them to help you. Help me, Star Family. Can you please help me to remove these blockages so that I can, trust myself and trust and know that you are there, or however you want to ask it. And then like that, ask is step one. And then you just believe and you begin to trust, and then the universe will show you signs. You can also ask for signs, and it can come through many different um, ways. Numbers, signs in the clouds. Star Family used to give me manipulate the clouds. It was pretty crazy. I thought I was going crazy for a minute because I would see they would do these things in the clouds. I would see DNA, I would see an eye, numbers, all these different things. But yeah, so yeah, that was beautifully said. Thank you so much, Vivian. I think that'll be very helpful for people.
You're very welcome, Lily. You're very welcome. It's really about reattuning your field of sending out transmission and be receptive to receive those missions. There's always presence. And I always say also, when you ask for help or assistance, what part of you is asking for what purpose? Be clear about that. If you want to say because you're just curious, or I'm curious, or something, well, you may not be in the same resonance field. So it's a higher consciousness connecting with another higher consciousness. It's something with people who do those C5 groups. C5 contact on the fifth kind. But the fifth kind is to be like in consciousness present with each other. But if you gather a group with a beautiful heart intention, but you start to making all this noise and you chant and somebody start to sing and the other one try to meditate, and you go like, you look at the sky and you get so upped up just because you see ball moving in the sky. Well, that's a CE1. It's no longer a CE5. So that's first contact. It's looking at an object flying in the sky. And so the invitation is disengage from want to see craft or balls or power up their ship. More like, I want to connect with you. I want to consciously connect with the occupants, with the beings, because they're going to say, okay, you ask us to come, but you're more interested in our beam of light, in our ship, in our craft. We'll show you that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. That's how I started was, well, they wanted me to document them. But as I began developing my communication with them and my psychic abilities, now they don't show up as like physical craft nearly as much. It's more of a conscious just communication and connection that happens in other ways. They don't necessarily have to manifest physically anymore, because that's kind of like a few steps behind, I guess.
Well, it's a stepping stone, and you're making a good point. If that's what you need to build yourself up, then do it. But just know that you're doing more a conscious contact of the first kind. When you're looking at the craft, just to see something moving around you, maybe just enough to activate something you need as a stepping stone. We honor that, just to know that you can build yourself up in understanding what you're doing. And then when you come to fifth encounter of the fifth kind, that's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's beautiful, the things that you will experience through that. Well, I guess we could go ahead and begin wrapping it up. Viviane, thank you so much. It's been such a great conversation. Is there anything that you'd like to share to kind of wrap things up? Anything that comes to mind?
Yes, of course. So we understand that you're moving from a very old structures of living, perceiving yourselves, safety, sense of safety, what makes you feel secure. So we understand that's such a big transition. We talk about having a secure job, food on the table, house, money, but you're moving into a more understanding, you becoming a more conscious co-creator of higher realities. So your safety, your sense of security will shift greatly. So what we say lovingly is allow that shift to happen. So you're no longer investing your safety, security, your power, your light into the old structures, more in terms of working with the quantum field opening yourself to higher consciousness, recognizing as part of these higher consciousness, and understanding that your natural ability to co-create and manifest is getting much more potent. So allow yourself for that shift, that transition. Allow to be more fluid, more adaptable in those shifts. Take deep breath. Come back to 0 point. Tell the time to centered. Tell Mother Gaia to feel that foundation underneath your feet, knowing that you're safe in that way, plus allowing with the endless, boundless energy of the quantum field. And that will be really, I would say, little words of wisdom to what's to come and what is shifting in the
Beautiful.
reality. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. And also, I wanted to add that you will be speaking at, well, the Mount Shasta conference. We will both be speaking at Rob Potter's and I'll have information on that in the video description if you guys would like to check that out and see if you'd like to attend that. But Viviane, you'll also be speaking at, and I will be attending the Rebels of Disclosure conference hosted by Journey to Truth podcast this May in Grafton, Illinois. So I'm super excited about that. And do you have anything else coming up that you would like to share and where people can find you also?
Yes. So when we for May 13 to 16 for Rebel of Disclosure. In July, I'm going to be 2 events in July for us. First, the 13 Lemurian retreat with Lori Anderson and Lauren Gailey, also in Shasta. And then after that, a week later, at Rob Potter's summer conference, we're going to be there for both. And then in September, I'm going to be speaking at Contact at Sea, which is a beautiful cruise to Alaska. To the Divine Travels. All the details are already on my website. So this cruise is September 6th to the 13th. We're going to be going through entire Alaska, then British Columbia and Canada and coming back. But it's a conference at sea as we are traveling directly on the sacred oceanic grids. Imagine contact at sea, and we're going to bring the Arcturian protocol of communications. We're going to practicing opening your channels, opening these intergalactic channels of direct communion. So contact at sea is going to be beautiful as well. And I'm doing a lot of other things. I'm going to be in Azores, Portugal with the Stargate group in June. Then we're going to be also potentially going to Japan in September for another conference. And then going to Uluru, Australia, again with the Stargate group for very 2 powerful tours. So we're going to be very active coming up.
That's amazing. And that at the sea one sounds super exciting too.
Yeah,
Water's an amazing conductor of energy.
Yeah. Conductor of energy and opening the Alaska grids energy there. So everything is on my website, which is the best way to connect with us, which is called Infinite Healing from the Stars.com. And we have a contact information, events, all the events I just mentioned are mostly posted, especially Contact at Sea, Rebel of Disclosure, and I'm going to be posting soon also Rob Potter's summer conference. We have an online community called the Universal Arcturian Community. With membership, we can learn with us, expand with other members. We do multiple events per month, and we have the annual retreat just for members. So that's another way to, how can I connect? How can I work with you through our community? Because we have a lot of teaching there.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing, and thank you so much for coming on, Viviane. And I'll have all of Viviane's information in our website and the Mount Shasta conference information in the video description. All right. If you guys would give this video a thumbs up, leave any comments, we would appreciate it. And I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their evening. Bye. Take care. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. And just a reminder, I have the DNA activation kits available in the video description to help you activate your gifts, align with your purpose, connect with your star family, and raise your consciousness. Also, if you would like to join us in Mount Shasta, the website for more information on that will be available in the video description. I will see you later, Star Brothers and Sisters.